Welcome. Another day of Bhagavad Gita. And as you notice right now, I'm inside. Back to that. I have been like this for months and months because it's too cold here even to keep the door open and me sit outside. Although I will go practice outside, but I can't keep the door open while the tech is here because it's too cold for the tech and the tech will freeze. It's just above freezing here and feels like it's 24 degrees Fahrenheit or -5 Celsius centigrade. Yeah, about that. So chilly. But I'm very, very glad you are here. We're going to talk about a key principle of Bhagavad Gita in your practice. And this may be a good chance to define what spiritual practice is. I had somebody ask me that very recently. I've heard people refer to their practice or the practice or spiritual practice. And what is that? It can take a variety of forms. It's something that you do consistently to reach a deeper, truer understanding of who you really are and your place in this world. That can be one way to look at it. Your connection to something larger than yourself could be another way to look at it. And your practice could take the form of movement or asana. We do an asana in this practice. It can take the form of contemplation. It can take the form of breath work. It can take the form of you choosing to live certain principles that bring you closer to your true self in your daily life. And one of the biggest ones is truthfulness. How can you know who you are if you're not truthful, right? If you're lying to yourself, you'll never know the reality underneath the illusion. The illusion, you could say, of the world, Maya, or the illusion of who you think you are, how you perceive yourself versus how others perceive you, for example. All illusion. So today, just briefly touching on this idea of chakras. Chakras can be a great model from the Eastern perspective to describe you at many different levels: physical, mental, emotional, for example, even spiritual. So the idea of chakras as it relates to the Bhagavad Gita, as I've mentioned, each of the major characters on the good guy side, the Pandava brothers, each one of them and their best friend Krishna represents a chakra. And stories about them and how they go through their highs and lows represent actually what our chakras do in the world when they feel safe, when they feel active, when they feel repressed, constricted, blocked, when they feel just right. So, for example, I mentioned truth, and the eldest of the Pandavas is the truth chakra. Truth is extremely important for the physiological structures here. For example, the thyroid, the parathyroid, responsible for so much in your body. The thyroid is responsible for metabolism, for example. If it does not have a true read on what your body needs, it either runs too fast or too slow. It can cause depression. It can cause, uncontrollable weight loss, heart problems, etc. And if we look at that with truth, for example, if we're not truthful, we're not able to give ourselves what we need either. And that can lead to our problems also because we're disconnected. And so we'll go down to the next chakra. It's emotional connection versus emotional disconnection in the heart. And what I find fascinating from this representation is in our Western society, what do we have a lot of? What's one of the major killers of both men and women in the West? Heart problems, because we get what? Blockages to our heart. We sometimes need to have a heart bypass because we're so out of touch. And men have more cardiovascular problems. Could it be that in the West, men are taught that emotions are secondary to thought, rationality, and logic? Maybe. That's one way we can look at it. And then in the abdomen, Manipur, that chakra, that's related to digestion on all levels. And there are a lot of digestive issues here in the United States. And some people will say, I go to Europe and I eat there and I live there. even for a week or two, and my digestive issues are gone. What could that have to do with life? Well, physiologically, maybe there is. Well, there are several additives in our food here in the United States and of America that are banned in many other countries. But also the sheer volume now, especially in the West, of stuff we have to take in. News 24/7, technology bothering us 24/7. You know, we don't take time to digest. And so our digestion just gives up. And that's not only physiological, but mental. We can't digest the stresses of daily life. We get anxious. We develop stress disorders, pre diabetic syndromes. So when we look at this, the chakras describe different levels at which we need to bring Samatvam into our lives to have a truly happy, fulfilled life that can allow us to go deeper. So I encourage you today, for example, with the truth chakra. Do you lie? That would be more toward the end, we would call tamasic. Do you tell too much of the truth and overshare? That would be on the end, we would call rajasic, if you know anything about the gunas, which are described in this part of the Gita. Or you can find that balance. The heart, you can be too closed down. You can be too open to the point where you're hurt all the time. Find that balance. Digestion, you can be taking in way, way too much. You can be taking in way, way too little of what you actually need. Can you find the middle ground? Today, like many other traditions, Buddhism always, well, I shouldn't say always, a key teaching of Buddhism, especially in the early years, was finding that middle ground, finding moderation. Can we do that? Pick an aspect of your life. Balance poses are supposed to help us find that balance. Maybe take a moment right here to consider, what do I need more balance in my life? One of the things I mentioned or something else? And let's practice with that in mind. Oh my, the rain is blowing in. We'll see how long this lasts. Switch sides. I am going to have to shut the door while I'm out there doing the meditation. Um, 5 minutes of contemplating, again, on what you need more balance of in your life and how can you actually find that. All right, I will be back. welcome back. I'm always curious as to what you were thinking of. If you want to share below, I had so many thoughts coming to mind of places in my life where I'm like this, and I'm driven, and I do need to find that middle ground. So it's going to take me another couple minutes to figure out exactly which one to focus on today. But if you have something that came to you, please share. Always feel free to check in. Today's practice is dedicated to anyone who does feel like their life is a pendulum. Thank you all for coming, and I can't wait till I see you again. Until then.